All right, so in this lecture, we're going to learn how to create a new Photoshop document, or PSD. Photoshop is basically meant for either modifying or manipulating images or photographs, or creating designs or graphics like web designs, ads, banners, so on and so forth. So what we're going to learn how to do right now is to create a new document. So here we are. All you really have to do is go File, New, and you'll get this dialog window that gives you some options. It's important that we go through this just so you understand how everything works, so you can properly set up your document depending on what you're creating. So right here is the name. You'd want to create a name like My Document. What I like doing is not using spaces and using kind of the same sort of conventions you'd use for coding. So no spaces, no special characters. So instead of My Space Document, I could do something like My Document, like so. Or first PSD. Let's do that. And right here is an option called Preset, where you can choose different presets depending on what you're creating. So if you're creating a document that you need to use the US paper size, it will go ahead and change all of these settings to be 8.5 by 11, 300 pixels per inch, RGB color, so on and so forth. Or if you wanted to change to international paper, it will modify that here, so on and so forth. And it kind of does its best to try and give you some pretty popular or common presets. So like web, for example, if you're designing a website, you can choose common screen sizes like 1024, 1280, 1600. You could do things like ads, like medium rectangles, leaderboards, skyscrapers. So it kind of has all the industry standard settings if you were to do that. So you can choose from there. So here's a great example of different mobile sizes for your phone and such. And film and video, it changes everything here if you're editing something for film and video. Or you could do custom and change everything here as you wish. So I'm just going to choose custom for now, just so I can create something custom just for learning's sake. So let's just do width 1000. And we're going to choose pixels. You can use inches, centimeters, millimeters, so on and so forth. But because we're usually working in web here, I always choose pixels. Height, do the same thing, 1000. Resolution. Now this depends on if you're doing web or if you're doing print. Web, you typically use 72 pixels per inch. That's kind of the standard. And if you're doing print, you would do 300 pixels per inch, which is a much more condensed, there are many more pixels per inch, so that it is much more clear on paper. But because we're using web, 72 is all you need. Color mode, you can do RGB, grayscale, CMYK. RGB is pretty standard for web. CMYK is for print. You can also change color mode from 8-bit 1632. I just leave it on the standard 8-bit. And background content, basically the document. Do you want the document to have a white background, a specific background color that you can choose, like that, or transparent, or other, like you could choose a color. I'm just going to leave it as white. And here are some advanced settings that you don't really need to play around with. So you can choose a color profile. If you're working with photography, you might want to have a specific color profile, depending on how you're exporting the document. And pixel aspect ratio, it's kind of if you're working with video and such. So I'm just going to choose square pixels. Usually it's on that, but I think because the last setting I chose was film and video, it maintained the color profile and pixel aspect ratio of the video settings. All right, so this is just going to be my first PSD. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and here is our document. All right, there you go. So basically that's it. The other way to open a Photoshop document is you can click Open, and you can open an image or a PSD. So here you can see I have a bunch of JPEGs. You can open JPEGs, or you can open PSD documents, and so on and so forth, and that will open that document in Photoshop. Up next, we're going to look into the toolbar, which is over here. We're going to go over each of these different tools to allow you to design and manipulate images. So I'll see you there.